Welcome to Behind the Scenes, Project Management at Siemens. In this podcast series, you are not going to hear project management methodologies, processes, or guidelines, or not even projects in particular. You are going to hear stories, personal experiences, and journeys of people behind the scenes, project managers and commercial project managers within Siemens from all around the world. I'm Darya Iren. Welcome to Behind the Scenes, Project Management at Siemens. In this episode, our guest is Frank Grunert. Dear Frank, welcome to our podcast. It's a great pleasure and an honor to have you here today. Would you kindly introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi there, yeah. Thanks a lot for inviting me to the podcast. It's an honor to be here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
And who am I? What am I doing? So I am running a business segment together with a lot of other colleagues for grid control solutions. So what we are doing is we provide intelligent control systems to steer and control electrical grids to customers around the world. So we have more than 1,000 colleagues. We have 29 locations around the globe. It's a very, very interesting business directly in the energy transition. A lot of fun, a lot of speed, I have to say. Yeah, this is my current task.
Okay, I have a CV of you. It's kind of 3 pages with the background of what you have done, your career path. So you have a very successful, interesting, and a diverse career path. Would you kindly a little bit elaborate on that? Tell us a bit more how you come here, what brought you here. So how was your journey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm already in Siemens now for a long time. So actually since 2006, I'm already with the company. Before that, actually what you need to know is I'm not an engineer. I studied business administration in Germany and in Ireland. And during my studies, together with a couple of friends, we started already a company, a consulting company. We helped small and medium-sized enterprises to enter the Chinese market because we had some network in China at the time. This was around 2000. And in that activity with that consulting company, I got in touch with a lot of entrepreneurs, really self-made guys, and this always impressed me a lot. And then one of these customers of ours, he asked me then to take over the CEO position of a newly founded company by him in China to ramp up a manufacturing facility for aerospace and semiconductors. So we were producing precision milled parts. But after some different opinions about strategy, and in retrospective, I was at that time 27, 28 years old. I was pretty much, convinced about my way forward, but he was also very much convinced about his way forward. Suddenly and very quickly, we decided to separate. Actually, then I wanted to start another company, but then my wife, because at the time I was already married, she asked me to look for something more stable.
Settle down.
Settle down. And so I had one of my customers at that time in China was Siemens. And this contact I had there in Siemens Shanghai, he forwarded me basically to his colleague in Erlangen. And he said, yeah, Frank, there is a unit in Erlangen called Intercompany Services with I&S at that time, Industrial Services and Solutions. And they are looking for global project managers. That is the perfect place for you to be. And so I sent my CV. They invited me for an interview, and in the interview, they hired me. So they immediately gave me the go, and they said, Frank, we would like you to join us.
So thanks to your wife, your career in Siemens started.
Yeah, you need some rationale behind what you do, right? And this is actually what the wife is for.
Okay, perfect.
To be reasonable, right? To be the reasonable hand in the background,
Yeah,
right? Steering things.
definitely.
And this is how I actually landed at Siemens in 2006. And in the end, it was, my first job was not the global project manager role, which they told me. And it's rarely the case, actually, when you start somewhere that in the end you find out, what was the role now which they gave to me? In fact, I started off as the quality manager in project QMIP for the toilet system of the ICE 3 bullet train. So there was a consortium.
This is a story I like a lot.
was a consortium between Alstom and Siemens, and they had a couple of problems with a lot of things. I mean, mostly with the doors. Anybody using the train knows that the door system was also not working at that time, and with the toilet system. And so my first job was that I entered this team, and I was the QMIP for the toilet system, and they sent me to the manufacturer of the toilet system in Denmark, so that this toilet systems were working. And that was my first job.
And then a little fast forward from 2006 to now. So you're heading a business, you're the general manager, and your team has been running many different projects in the portfolio. So how was this developed from starting as a QMIP to being the general manager of the project teams? And also, I know that you are the member of the Project Business Excellence Board, which is also shaping how the project management topics will be handled within Siemens. So how does it move from starting as a QMIP to where you are now?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, making an impact in the job which you do. And it doesn't matter if it's a toilet system or running a business segment, you need to make an impact, and you need to every day try to be useful in some sort of the other. I mean, I told you I studied business administration. So what do I know about toilet systems, right? Or what do I know about control center software? I know a little bit, I have to say, but I'm not, let's say, deeply into technical, expertise there. So, but there are other things I can contribute in any job, which I did in my Siemens career. So all my positive capabilities, which I have, to bring them on the table and to contribute to a greater success of a team. And actually, this is, I think, is one of the fundamental drivers, which is moving you forward, because then people would like to work with you. And then people also recognize not only your achievement, but the team's achievement. And then people start asking you to take over bigger roles. And I think this was the driving factor behind.
How did your background in project manager support you in your career as a general manager? So are there similarities? How do you see that helped you? Yes,
a lot of similarities. I mean, running a project is running a small business. If you really define it for yourself like this. So if you define your project as this is your little business, you're responsible. You're not a project manager. You are the business responsible for that volume, which that project represents. And you are managing not only the project itself, but everything which belongs to it, around it. So all the stakeholders you have, internal, external. I mean, Siemens is a big company, sometimes complicated, a lot of rules. So this is something you need to understand and you need to manage. And the same is true also with customers, right? You need to, sometimes things don't go right in your project. Actually, quite often this is the case. And you still need, as a project manager, you need to stand in front of the customer and try to make the best out of it so that customer accepts the project. And so that this project contributes to the success of Siemens and to the success of the customer, even though maybe it might not be 100% according to the contract. And for this, actually, if you go into project management, you have the chance to shape your skills and to develop your personality and to develop yourself. So you can be an engineer, you can be a quality manager, you can be a project manager, you can be a sales manager, all in this role of a project manager for such a project. So you can shape all of your skills in these dimensions. And in the end, this is actually helping people a lot if they want to move into line management, if they want to move into taking over responsibility of a business, if they have done projects before. I'm really convinced about that this is a very, very good career path to be a project manager, preparing you for running a business. But I want to add the following thing. It's not that you always have to go to be a business responsible when you're a project manager.
Correct.
I know colleagues, they really belong to a senior management group in Siemens. They are project directors. They run the biggest projects, really as significant as a whole business unit. And so you can also have this kind of very enhanced career staying in that project manager path.
So you mentioned some of those already, but what does it take to be a good project manager from your perspective?
I mean, first of all, I think maybe it's a little bit unusual what I say now, but I think people management skills is really important. Yeah. This is one thing. So how successfully can you interact and manage the environment around you, which comprises of people with different agendas, different pressures behind themselves, different targets, be it on the customer side, be it on the consultant side, be it on the consortium partner side, on the supplier side, or internal in Siemens. So to have the ability to take a step back and look at this and be able to, from each perspective, manage this amount of people in the right way to make the project successful for the benefit of all of them. I think that is a very important skill. I would also say that another important skill is to be innovative. So to also recognize, and I'm not talking now about technical innovation. Yeah? I mean, this is also one part. So to be able to ask the right questions with the engineering team, with the R&D team and so on, to find the right technical solution and also to challenge them to come up with proposals so that the project manager then can decide also technical innovation topics for that project is one thing, but I also think about innovation in methods. So given the setting of each project, you might move, for example, into applying agile execution methods. Yeah? But for this, you also need a lot of knowledge. So which kind of methods are there? You need not only to know about lean and agile fundamentals, but you also need to know about, for example, culture. Right? What kind of customer is sitting in front of me? Is that a customer with a high power distance or uncertainty avoidance? Would they rather stick to the contract, or would they be open to approach a more agile way of working together for the sake of the project success? Meaning, for example, that they are open to let a little bit open the real definition of scope and time, for the sake of progress. So that is also important, this kind of innovation part. But I think most important is resiliency. So that under pressure, because as a project manager, you are responsible for the project 24/7. This is your baby, it's your company. And if there is an emergency, if there is something you need to attend to, it's like in a business, like you own a business. You cannot just switch off your mobile phone. You need to attend to it and you need to solve it. And being resilient to deal with that, I think that is the most important skill.
There's also one sentence I heard from you before: accept responsibility for problems others created. That was something I was very much impressed. And how would you like to maybe explore that a little bit?
Yeah. In a big company like in Siemens, when you move from one position to another one and you take a new job, it's never that you can start, or very rarely it is that you really can start with a white sheet of paper and you can start fresh and there's no legacy, right? In every job, there's legacy. And so there are topics which haven't been solved, which need to be attended. And you need to be able to accept this, and you need to be able to not just make that transparent to the organization, but also to take on the job and find a solution for a problem maybe not caused by you, but solve it for let's say, for the sake of Siemens. So get the topic off the table and accept this responsibility. And to acknowledge this to yourself is already a big step towards this kind of acceptance. The problem is always a chance. Yeah. If there is a problem, it's always a chance for you to grow, to learn, to make connection, to also get known by other people. And for me, actually, this might sound silly to a lot of people, but for me, I like problems. So I liked it. I'm a little bit action biased, to be honest, for this. So problems attract me.
Okay. That will be then the maybe the critical point, how you succeed in your career, liking problems and being there for the crisis and solving them. Wow.
Which is not easy, right? Because some problems, and you then have to take the heat for it, even though you have not caused it. And there's a lot of pressure in the company, and maybe the managing levels above you, they don't really understand the full history of the problem, but you are the messenger. And so first of all, you are the one they focus on. So you need to be able to withstand that pressure. And this is actually the topic of resiliency I just mentioned, which is really important as a project manager.
So you've been managing project execution teams from large-scale turnkey projects to a complex software solutions. Yeah, so it's a quite variety and a change in the portfolio. Do you see any differences in the competency requirements or in the approaches or in the way you need to manage these kind of different portfolio or different projects?
Yes. Here I want to mention that you should never just judge a project by its size. And I can tell you this really from my experience. I mean, I was in one of my previous jobs, I was responsible for the project portfolio for the HVDC projects, the high voltage direct current projects. These are the big power lines globally with big converters to convert AC into DC and back. Projects amounting to more than €1 billion in volume, huge projects. Yeah. And when I look at software solution projects, they are much smaller. Yeah, so like a 5 million project is large, 10 million is really large, and a 20 million project, or 50 million project, we only, it's very rarely that you have such kind of big projects. This is monitored by the CEO themselves. In the HVDC world where I came from, this was just a change, right? But what I learned, and I also tell you a story of a colleague in a second, is that these projects, software solution projects, when it comes to complexity, are minimum at the same level as a huge turnkey project. So such a 20 million software solution project from the level of complexity can easily equal a 1 billion turnkey transmission solution project. And I have an old colleague who has retired by now, Peter Ulrich. I don't know if you know him. So he was the project director for the mega project in Egypt. So one of the 3 power plants, he was the responsible project director or director of projects, how they call it. So really one of the most senior project managers we had in Siemens at the time. And when I started here in the grid solution business, grid control solution business, I asked him for advice, and he said, "Okay, Frank, let me come here. Let me have a look." And I said, "Okay, Peter, you know Egypt. We have the project Egypt. Maybe you can check it out because you also know the minister in Egypt. You know all the people around, and maybe you can tell me what we should do." And he went to Egypt. And he was really working with the project team for a couple of months. And I had afterwards a long discussion with him. He helped us with a lot of topics, but he said, "Frank, I would have never thought that such a project at that time, it was like 20 million, 30 million in volume, that such a small project can be so complex, like my big mega project." So he really compared it with the big mega project he successfully delivered there. And this is why you should never, let's say, judge a project only by its volume
or underestimate.
Yeah, underestimate. I think this is also a big learning we are discussing in the PV board at the moment, because in the past it was always like the let's say a level of a project manager, ABC, let's say certification level, was of course connected with a lot of parameters, but
mostly volume.
The project volume was the most important one. But in today's world, that's wrong.
Correct.
In today's world, that's wrong. So we need to discuss how we have to adjust this to better reflect the complexity of software projects, of software solution projects.
I have 2 questions related to that. You also start picturing this, but how do you see the picture of the future in project business? And there are many emerging trends on technologies such as generative AI or sustainability. You have mentioned software-driven projects, first of its kind projects, complex, more co-creation with the customers or different business models maybe. How do you think these will have an impact on project management?
Will have multiple impacts on the project management, on the process itself, how we manage project, but also on the people who manage our projects. I mean, I'm really, this is also something which excites me, this technological progress and the changes it brings. I like this a lot. And AI is now, everybody's talking about AI and how it will interrupt our daily way of working in our business, and it will be a big disruption. I can tell you this. Just imagine we had a generative AI in Siemens, and you manage a project, and you have a situation, and you describe that situation to the AI, and the AI tells you what to do, or gives you it's like a chatbot, right? Gives you ideas what to do. And how does the AI get that info from the huge, let's say, corporate memory we have? We have a lot of lesson learned workshops. I mean, in PM at Siemens, in the process, it's mandatory to do a lesson learned workshop. And I tell you honestly, if you do it, but only because of the process, because you never know what happens with this kind of content you generate in that lessons learned. You put it in an Excel file and you put it somewhere, right?
So the question is how to reuse that, right?
Exactly. That's the point. How to reuse it? How can you turn that into a benefit for the organization? And AI will do that for us. AI will give us such a big advantage in managing projects. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm also counting on you guys to basically set a little bit the path for the whole company into that direction. Now, when it comes to other topics like co-creation, which you just mentioned with customers, and we are doing this already in Grid Software. We are co-creating with customers, not only co-creating products, but also co-creating projects with them. Of course, a lot of parameters need to be fulfilled in order to make this successful. Culture is a topic. I think you cannot do co-creation with a customer with a high power distance and a strong hierarchy. This will not work out. You really need to know who your co-creation partner is to be to make an, let's say, not more than an educated guess if you want to co-create with them to make it successful. But this co-creation, let's say, or growing co-creations leads to also different requirements for project managers. Project managers need to be able to communicate. They need to be really able to work proactively on the customer interface. It's not any mechanic thing anymore. You have checklists and you run through your checklists and then you know your project is okay. I think the focus is moving more from checklists and from mechanical, let's say, tasks into people management and getting the interface right. This is something AI cannot do. This is something people can do. Mechanical things, mechanical checklists, this is something AI can do.
We also talk about more being like a consultant on the customer side, and not only being a project manager, but a little bit being more on the consultative role together with the project management role. How do you think about that? How do you see this?
Yes, and this is clearly the case, but this also changes the requirement for the project managers. So more than before, you need to understand your customer. You need to understand the value creation process with your customer. Which kind of workflows do they have? How is their revenue stream created in order to be able to give them certain, let's say, feedback and hints to get more out of the Siemens solution, which we provide, to be the kind of consultant. But for that, you have to have a trustful atmosphere with them. So also coming back to this people management topic, you need to be able to build the trustful atmosphere. And if you only stick to your contract and say, that's written in the contract, this is what I do, this is what I not do, you will for sure not create the trustful atmosphere. But you can also not give away too much, right? Because then you have to deliver a profit. So that is a very challenging task. And this is really changing the requirements for our project managers.
Mm-hmm. You are also a member of the Siemens Project Business Excellence Board. We have already started discussing some of the initiatives. We talk about how the categorization changes. What does it mean to be a complex project, and so on. So, what else? What are the most important topics you've been dealing or discussing in the board? Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let me share a couple of things what I think about the board. So I think this is a very, very important board. It's really taking care of our corporate memory when it comes to project management. And I mean, we hire also a lot of people from other companies, from competitors of ours, and they are always very, very, let's say, astonished about that history we have managing projects and that kind of process which we have, where all these let's say lessons learned flow in, and you change the process, you improve the PM process for everybody in the whole world in Siemens, and you have this kind of really continuous improvement going on. in this kind of corporate memory machine called PBE board, which is really, really good. The PBE board itself comprises of a lot of business owners from Siemens who have a project as their business. And we are meeting every 3 months, and we have a lot of in-depth discussions about, for example, what does what we just discussed, co-creation, AI, new technologies, first of its kind, how does that change the requirement of project managers to their skill set? What would that mean for us, for Siemens training these project managers? So how would we have to adjust the training plan in order to prepare them in the best possible way for these changes, or to not prepare them, but have them ready when the changes come? This is one thing. Another big thing which we are discussing is also the appreciation of project managers in the company. Often, and this is really something which I take care of a lot, often people are only looking at a career like, hey, you need to become a business unit CEO, or you need to, maybe if you're really good, you can move to the board, and this is my target. And being a project manager is sometimes not really the target, and it's sometimes even considered being stressful and being not fulfilling, and why you do that, why you are responsible 24/7 for a project if you could have an easier life. That is something where we and everybody in the board is of the same opinion. We need to appreciate, especially project managers, project management teams in these projects very much. 70% of the Siemens business is still delivered in projects, small projects, bigger projects. System business is also projects with customers, where you have some requirements, you do an engineering, you deliver a system. That's also a project. So Siemens is counting on a professional project management, and the board, the PB board, is really using a lot of time to discuss what can we do to make this job attractive. What can we do to give these people more appreciation in the company? What can we do to provide them with a sound perspective for their personal development, so that even though you have this kind of more stressful environment than other people, but you feel you have a fulfilling job. Yeah, you have a purposeful life. You're contributing big time. So, and that is also what we discuss a lot. Next to all this kind of nitty-gritty process changes and so on, this kind of stuff.
Do you have a moment in your career where you will always remember?
Yeah, do we have such kind of moment? Yes, I have a lot of small moments I always remember in a positive way, to be honest. The best is always when you see a project being delivered to a customer, and you see the team, how proud they are. You see the customer, how proud they are. Everybody's happy. There was a long period of darkness maybe in that project, but finally everybody sees the light at the end of the tunnel, and then you get your sunglasses out, right? And the light is hitting your eyes. And everybody's happy, smiling.
Time to celebrate.
Yes. And there were a lot of these kind of events, smaller projects, but also huge projects, like in HVDC, for example. These projects, when you, for example, the HVDC in Elfe between Spain and France, when we energized this one, this is not only a project. There was the president of France and the prime minister of Spain coming. And there was Siemens board there, and this was like a political event because it was the connection of the electrical grid of Spain and with the electrical grid of France. That was not just a project. And this is what we as Siemens deliver. We deliver these kind of projects, not just project. This is really meaningful stuff what we do. So this gives me a lot of joy.
Proud and joy, I guess. Here comes my last and my favorite question. What would you tell to your young self if you have the chance to go back and meet with young Frank, let's say, who is at the beginning of his career? And what would you advise him? What would you tell him?
Yeah, that is an unexpected question.
I know.
Maybe I would say invest early. Yeah, invest early. Invest more into knowledge. At that time, when I was younger, I have to tell you, I was also enjoying life.
That's a good thing too.
Yes, that's a good thing too, and I will not miss that. I don't want to miss that. Great times, a lot of friends until today, but the investment part in the personal growth, the sooner you do it, the more you do it at the beginning, the better. And not only for professional knowledge, but also for common sense knowledge in life. So invest more early into your skills, into your know-how. That would be my advice to the younger Frank.
What else? One more.
One more.
Because sometimes, the first one what comes into your mind is something there a little closer to the surface. But if you go in deep with what else question, I really like what we can find out as an answer. Something more interesting might come out of that.
Something more interesting. I would also advise to little Frank, stay a businessman. Try harder staying a businessman. And do your thing with your own company. Try harder at the time. I mean, looking back now, actually my next idea after separating with that company owner, which we discussed just now from the beginning, my idea already had another buddy, and he had a factory for tapes in China. So a big factory, all kinds of tapes, Tesa tapes, this kind, all kinds, hundreds. And actually, I already was starting to start a company with him to be the sole supplier for these tapes in Germany. But maybe I should have done it. Yeah.
Sliding doors. How could your life be if you choose that path or the other way around? So it's always interesting, right?
I think my life could. I mean, that's a good question actually. Yeah, this is a good thing. This is a very good question. I think it would be more, let's say, self-steered. To be honest, a little bit more self-steered. Than entering a big corporation like Siemens and becoming part of a system, and then of course moving yourself through that system. On the other side, where I'm not so sure is if it would be better with regards to purpose. And this is not now marketing talk or whatever from me. I really tell you, working for Siemens is a very purposeful thing, because this company is not selling cars or radios or such kind of stuff. This company is selling things which are important for humanity. And this is really true. And this is not just a marketing gig. Yeah? Siemens is providing infrastructure. Siemens is providing solutions to automate factories, to help reduce carbon footprint. We are really at the center of it. Not only at the center of the energy transition itself with the increase of renewables and so on, but also at the center of all this kind of circular economy, sustainability talk. It's not just a talk. Siemens, with its solutions, is playing a vital role in helping all industries globally to become greener. And this is a big player in that. So it's not that, Frank, become a business owner, start your businesses and grow businesses. It's interesting. I like that. I'm actually kind of I have this kind of entrepreneurial spirit. But on the other side, I have to say, being part of Siemens and part of this bigger thing gives a lot of satisfaction to me.
Technology with purpose, right?
Yeah, I truly believe this.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing your insights, sharing your experience with us. And I really enjoyed this. That was a great pleasure having you today. Thank you very much, Frank.
Thanks a lot, Daria.
Thank you for listening. I'm Daria Iran. This podcast is a production of Siemens. If you would like to explore our world, please visit siemens.com.